Amazing to have you here, Joey. For those listeners who I'm sure already know who he is, but if you don't, buzzing to have Joey Dean with us today. He is an award-winning sound artist behind his very own personal cosmic creation, Natural Symphony, which creates and blends live music and sometimes visuals with lights. And you performed everywhere, Joey, from Glastonbury to Chelsea Flower Show, Medicine Festival I saw you at last summer. So happy to have you here. And what Martin was just saying to echo that is that you are ideal for this podcast because not only do you blend entertainment, obviously, and music and the rave culture that your music can bring, that tribal energy, but also mixing it with social impact and activism in a way as well because of all your work that you're doing with the rainforest.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny how I've sort of found myself here as well. It's it kind of never was the intention. It's just kind of over the past few years since lockdown, just evolved into everything that you've just said. It's been a wild journey, literally.
I bet. Tell us about how it started for you and what the turning point. I know there was a moment in Bali that was a bit of an awakening for
Right.
you.
So
What's the
actually,
journey?
for the past, say, well, it must be like 25 years now, I've been a music producer and DJ, and was never quite. I always had all these dreams just to sort of like break through this industry, and I was doing pretty good, but couldn't quite get to that stage where I was able to be like, right, I'm quitting my job and doing this full time. And then I went to Bali in 2019, which is this is the October before lockdown. And I remember sitting there and this lady came over to me and she was like, "Oh, can I do she's like, I'm learning astrology. Can I give you a reading and all of this?" So I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And it was pretty cool. But she said to me, she's like, "Oh, there's this pyramid here. They're doing sound and light healings and all of this. You should definitely go and have one." So I looked it up and I was like, "Wow, that sounds really cool." But all my friends was leaving. So I was like, "Do you know what? I'm gonna stay." This is what I said to my friends. I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna go and do this sound and light thing, but I'll meet you after. Then they left. They moved to another city. So I hung back that day and went to this pyramid. And what they do is it's like typical kind of sound healing, typical kind of like bowls and gongs and flutes and things. But they use a strobe.
Some things. We know the drill.
Yeah. But they use a strobe light. And the strobe light is flashing at the same speed your brain fires at when you're dreaming. So it's actually become quite popular now. Strobe light therapy, theta lights, they'll come under various different names. And so I had 3 sessions of 20 minutes under one of these lights. The first session, I was convinced it was a gimmick because I don't know if you've tried any of the apps or anything. A friend of mine's got one called Luminate, which is like just uses the flash off of your phone, just flashes at that speed, and you'll get visuals off of it straight away. But under a full lamp, it's really intense. So I'm having like sacred geometrical patterns, full color spectrum, everything like within my eyelids. And I was laying under the light, and I remember thinking, "Nah, they're embedded in this light somewhere." I couldn't comprehend that it was just a white light above me. But I was seeing something different in my eyelids. The second 20 minutes starts, and I had a full out of body experience where I was just floating, and I was getting like thousands of voices telling me something that was pretty personal to a friend of mine who was back home. And yeah, they was just giving me a message for him. I won't go too much into that. But and then I came out of that and I was like, what is this? Like, what is going on? Because that was almost psychedelic.
Were you taking any psychedelic?
Nothing at all. This is literally just off of just this strobe light. And we entered the third session of 20 minutes, and that was technically dream state. Because what's happening is your brain is firing at about between 7 and 10 hertz. So if you get a strobe light and you flash it 7 to 10 times a second, when you lay under it and you've got this flicker, your brain has no choice but to slow down and match it, which induces you into dream state. So although technically my mind is now in dream state, what I am seeing, I don't know that I would class it as a dream. It was more like a vision, because I found it quite interesting about the position of a dream, because what I'm seeing is in my mind, and it made me aware that actually a dream is usually somewhere within your mind. And this felt in a different place. So then I was I often think about the placement of a dream and where that takes place. But yeah, I had this vision. It was very much more like a film within my eyelids. And it was of this huge tree. And this tree was bigger than anything that exists on this planet. And bearing in mind, at this point, I'm someone who's just grown up in East London, completely disconnected to nature. I was the person that I preach to now. So I'm laying under this light and I'm seeing this huge tree come forward to me, and he's saying, I'll never forget it actually. It says, energy transfers between anything that's alive. So be careful of your mood, because it's not just a human to human interaction where you can start a chain reaction of negativity. Nature feels it too. To summarize that, it shows me a scene which I call the angry driver. So, you know what it's like when you've got an angry driver behind you and they're like banging on the horn, swearing at you, driving too close to you, driving recklessly. You then get to a roundabout and you part ways, but you've just driven off with their mood now, and they wasn't even in the same car. But their interaction or their energetic output has affected your input. You get to the office, you're ranting to someone at the coffee machine. Everyone sitting around can see, oh yeah, he's annoyed, she's annoyed. It sets the tone for their day. And then before you know it, you're like 10 people deep who don't even know about the driver. But what this tree was saying, it's not just affecting people. That angry driver is affecting every plant and tree too. So it said to me, if you leave your house in the morning and you're annoyed because you can't find your keys and now you're late for work, that's not an acceptable reason for you to get in the car and become the angry driver. So it then shows me a scene of the earth, and it was saying, as a whole, humanity's energy is too low right now. And nature can only absorb so much before it starts causing catastrophic situations on the planet. And what it was highlighting is that we're in an energetic cycle with nature, and it feeds off of us. So if our energy is too low, there's like negative impact on the planet. Which actually, interestingly, there was just a research paper that I read last week where they got 7,000 people around the planet to meditate for 3 weeks, and crime dropped 16% worldwide. I don't know if you read that, but I read a lot of things that highlight what was said to me in this vision. Anyway, so this tree said to me, it showed me a door, and it said, through this door is everything that you've been trying to achieve as an artist.
I want to go through that door right now.
Went through it. He's got all his cracked out to be.
So he said to me, through this door is everything you've been trying to achieve as an artist, but you've got to take nature's hand. We'll walk through this together. In return, if you can make people aware that we're not decorative or ornamental, we'll make everything that you've been trying to achieve for the past 20 years happen. So in this moment, I'm thinking so many different things, like, what the hell is this like? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm just not like, I'm talking to a magic tree. I'm taking anything. This is like, it's just a really bizarre thing. But at that moment, it felt so real that I felt I had no choice. Or not no choice. It just felt the most right thing to do is to collaborate with what this tree was saying. Let's do this project. Let's make something which is going to highlight nature is going to give you everything that you've been trying to achieve, and the trees everything they've been trying to achieve, essentially. So in that moment, I agreed, and then this whole vision ended, and I came out of it, and I remember it was like a 3-hour taxi back to go and meet my friends. And when I got in the car, that first hour was all through like the jungles of Bali. And I remember sitting in the back of the car with the window open. And that was the first time I saw the trees for being what they are, not as something that's ornamental or decorative. I grew up as trees was just things that lined the sides of the road to me. They was just literally ornamental, and like I had a park at the end of my road, but a park is not really nature. It contains elements of nature. It contains trees and grass and flowers and birds, but it's not nature. It's not livable. It's like we don't use it as how humanity should live with nature. We take our dogs to the toilet over there and roll around on roller skates and things. It's like, it's not living with nature. But yeah, this is the first time I saw the trees, and I was just sitting in awe, just looking at these like amazing trees and vines and flowers and things. And I was just like becoming obsessed on so many ideas. And I when I eventually came back home, I was working as a technician for Mercedes at the time. And I remember every day I was in that workshop, and I was like, I just need time. Like, I just need time to work out how I'm going to do this. Like, what's it going to be? Is it going to be a music project, an art project? Am I going to write a book about what's happened? Or I didn't know. I just knew that a few hours in the evening was just not enough time to work out how to create something. And then lockdown came, which I'm pretty sure I manifested through.
Oh, it was your fault, you butt.
It was my fault. Yeah, I wanted that so bad, and then lockdown came, and yeah, so I do apologize if it was.
The whole world stopped for you, Joey. Wow.
But I was literally begging for something every day in that workshop, and then it came, and the house I was living in, the landlord was like, I don't know what's happening in here. I'm going to move my daughter in and all of this. So I was like, actually, that's fine for me. I went to my mum's too. And this actually for me is where it gets pretty interesting, because I came back here and I remember sitting on the computer and was like, right, I don't know if I've got a week. I don't know if I've got 2 days, a month, whatever, but I have some time. So while I'm here, I'm just going to just make a start. So my starting point was to Google what's detectable in a plant, because I knew it didn't have a heartbeat, but I knew if there was some way of getting some measurable data or signal or something, maybe I can do something with that. And the first thing that came up was research from a guy in the 60s called Cleve Flagstaff, who makes lie detectors for the FBI. And he's got some really fascinating papers where he's able to prove that a plant feels human intention using a lie detector.
Cool.
So he would connect this lie detector, and he was like able to send love, threaten to burn it, do all sorts of show all sorts of different emotions, and the plant would respond in like completely different ways each time. And he was running all these experiments where he was able to identify, okay, it's feeling love here. And he actually gets to a point where he's like, at what point does this stop? So he builds a lead box, and I think to this day still there isn't a known frequency that can penetrate lead. X-rays, Wi-Fi, infrared, Bluetooth, nothing is penetrating lead. So he builds a lead box, and he puts a plant on a lie detector inside the box. He sends love to it, and instantly the plant is responding to this love frequency. So there's that. Yeah, you should actually check out some of his papers. It's really fascinating what he's written. But ultimately, I thought, okay, so a lie detector is giving like really varied ranges of like response. So step 2 is really Googling how to make a lie detector. And it was that day I saw all roads meet. Like why I'd spent all these years as a technician. I didn't mind the job. I hated the job, but I liked the technical side of it. My brain is very much like love making things and working things out. But all I wanted was this like music career and art career. And then at that moment they led because I was able to follow a diagram of how to make a basic lie detector pretty easily and just change the output. So instead of output into a graph, I just fed it into a program called Max for Live and just broke the data down and gave each different electrical value that was detected its own task on a keyboard or in a laser or in an animation program. So what ends up happening is you give plant fingers, essentially. Most people mistake it as like contact mics and you're hearing sound of the plants. It's not actually. You're hearing plants controlling sounds. It makes the plants the instrumentalist rather than a vocalist, if that makes sense. So yeah, I made this device pretty quickly and spent lockdown creating like live performances, live sets of plants controlling bassline and melody patterns. Started creating visuals and things and getting plants to control lasers. The laser one was pretty interesting because it took me a long time to get it to do that. And then when it actually started working, I remember looking at the laser on the wall and I remember thinking, I'm probably the first person ever to see a plant control a laser. It was such a bizarre feeling just looking at what it was doing on the wall. And so what was quite interesting is while I was making these videos and posting them online, I was getting all sorts of people message me saying, like a lot of botanists and biologists and people messaging saying, how are you doing this? This is really cool. I've never seen anything like this and blah, blah, blah. And then I was responding to them. I was like, how do you keep plants alive? This is all new to me as well. I like, never had plants before. And now I'm like, got them everywhere and they're all dying. How do you keep them alive? And so many of them was just saying, oh, just tell them that you love them and they'll be fine. And I was like, oh, that's funny. This is what this guy with a lie detector, he was sending love to the plant. So I was sitting there one day and I started sending love, like pure intentional love to the plant. And I could notice it was responding. And then I remembered the guy was saying he pulled out a lighter and I thought, oh, I'll try that. And the plant stopped. So I was like, this is just so bizarre. What is happening? Then someone sends me a video that IKEA did. You can watch this. It's still on YouTube now. It was an old English anti-bullying campaign on the telly. And IKEA got 2 plants. They put one in each store. One in each room of a store. And they invited 2 schools to come down. And they got one school to bully the plant and then the other school to love the other plant. And they recorded all the messages that the kids said. And they left their messages on a loop for 6 weeks. At the end of the 6 weeks, the bullied plant had died and the loved one had outgrown its box. And the message was, if this is what happens to a plant, what are you doing to your schoolmates? So for me, that was like, sent me on a rabbit hole because I was like, why is that happening? Why am I able to send love to the plant and hear a change? Why is the lie detector guy able to send love to the plant and see a response? Why is IKEA able to kill a plant and outgrow a box with messages? Like, what is happening? Because the plant hasn't got ears. So what is it that's coming out of you that the plant is feeling? So there's a really interesting book. It's called 528, The Miracle Frequency. It's by a guy called Dr. Horowitz. And a lot of research that I've found is saying that the same as plants, we are energetic beings. We are transmitters and receivers of energy. So we've got a chakra system. We've got energy centers throughout us, which all have ideal resonances. So when a human is experiencing unconditional love, your heart's energy center is emitting 528 hertz, which is actually what plants vibrate at during photosynthesis. So by you sending love to a plant, you emit the same frequency that plants need to thrive. That same frequency, 528 hertz, is actually really common throughout nature. So a bee emits 528 hertz as well. And a beekeeper has the longest lifespan of all occupation. And the center of the sun is kicking out 528. On our original musical scale, when A was 432, middle C was 528. And if you went 36, I believe, I'd have to check that, 36 octaves up, you enter the light spectrum and be the color green. So there was also a research boat that went out to an oil spill off the Gulf of Mexico and played 528 hertz to the oil, and it broke the oil down to become water soluble. So actually, if humanity could become beacons of love, we're all capable of emitting this frequency just by being loving beings. So if we was able to become beacons of love, not only would the planet blossom, but we would repair a lot of the damage that we've been doing to it too. And I just found all of this so fascinating, and all of this was like my relearning of like my reconnection to nature. And actually, interestingly, the Japanese are very aware of this. So if you go to the doctors in Japan with depression, they just prescribe you a week in the forest. So right now, if you look out your window, everything is in photosynthesis. Everything is green. The bees are out. The sun is out. Everything is vibrating at your love frequency. It's all kicking out 528 hertz. So the tree in my vision was right. We aren't just sharing a breath with nature. We are in an energetic cycle too. And nature's constantly kicking out a loving frequency to us. We have the it's possible for us to do the same too. But most of us find ourselves in the mood of an angry driver all day. And it's so easy to pick up other people's vibes. And most of the time when I do like public talks or something, I say to people, use the trees as a checkpoint. Even if you're in a city, you're going to walk past them every now and again. So when you walk past the tree, just check in with yourself. Am I walking past this tree as a beacon of love, or am I walking past it as an angry driver? And you'll be surprised how many times you find yourself in someone else's mood. And it might be because you've just walked past a couple who are arguing. You've just walked past a corner shop and read a headline. You've opened your phone and saw something on Instagram. They're all other people's moods. You probably woke up bright as a button, and then throughout the day, you're just getting down and down and down, and things just force down your throat. And we walk around low vibration when actually all you just got to do is just go and stand. Like if you're walking past a tree, am I something that's going to heal this tree, or do I need the tree to heal me? Because you are in a cycle. So it's like the Japanese, if you can either like bathe in that love frequency, or you can give it back. So if you feel that you're like down, just ask the tree, can we swap? Can you just like feed me something? Or just go and walk for like, the best thing if you are down is just go and walk for a forest for 15, 20 minutes minimum and be in that love frequency. We are in a cycle. It's not just like sharing a breath. We are in this energetic cycle too. And yeah, I just had the lockdown where I was learning this, and reconnecting with nature. Well, not even reconnecting. I wasn't connected in the first place. This was like my learning. And then I got to the end of lockdown when it finally ended and we had freedom. Like, about 2 weeks in, and I get an email from the Chelsea Flower Show, and they was like, "Oh, this is interesting. We've got a cabin here. Can you come and make some of the plants in it sing?" And I went there and I put like a surround sound system, just like a home surround sound system, in the corners of this cabin, and rigged 5 plants in there, and people could just walk in, touch and feel the plants, interact with them, and it would respond in the sound. And came back the next day, and there's a silver medal hanging on the cabin, and they've come second place. That's something that I didn't even know was a competition. It was just bizarre because I ended up getting interviewed on BBC One, and then the next day Glastonbury Festival ring up and say, "Oh, we've just seen your installation on BBC One, and we've heard your interview and heard you doing performances," and they said, "Can you bring the cabin to us, and then we'll give you a set every night." And I was like, a second book in Glastonbury Festival, which some people have been trying for 40 years to get into. And then the Barbican Theatre rung, and then Burning Man, and all of like my first 5 or 6 bookings was my bucket list dream venues. And I was like, went back to the vision. I was like, this tree said this. If I collaborate with nature and make people aware that the plants are not just decorative or ornamental, and they are alive, they'll help me get everything that I've dreamed of. And actually, they've done that straight away, and have kept their word. So I had this realization where I was like, I actually am in a partnership with nature. I can't do this project without them. It is literally a collaborative project between myself and nature. So it's not really fair that I'm the only one that's earning money from this, because it's not just me. So I also was thinking as well, I was like, I've been dragging plants through a human experience. Some of my plants have been to more festivals and theatres than a lot of people. It's really, I felt like it was time that they dragged me through their world. And I was thinking, like, if I was a plant, what would I spend my money on that I'm earning from this project? And it was just so obvious in my mind that it was working in the Amazon. So that's why I started reaching out to different people. And I think you even know Nick as well, don't you, Cherub, from Yakum? He, that's who I partnered with, and I was going out backwards and forwards to the Amazon and working like deep territory with like indigenous communities, and just learning how humanity should be connected with nature, and planting trees and giving back, and just letting nature talk to me, speak for itself, and show me this is what it means to be a human. Like, and it's no fault of our own. We all grow up in societies here, city societies, thinking that this is normality. And actually, until you break it and go and see how humans used to live with the land, you don't realize actually how disconnected from nature we are. And but yeah, like I'm saying, it's no fault of our own. This is just how we grow up. But over many, many years, we've just been taught that society is a thing, and actually it's not really. It's like community and nature and just living with the land. And yeah, that in a nutshell is really the project of Natural Symphony.
A
It's like,
big nutshell.
yeah, it's
I'm so impressed with you, Joey. I mean, it's like you managed to wrap philosophy into your work in a cogent way, certain amounts of it are provable as well.
Yeah.
In traditional scientific ways. Some of it is intuitive. I think that we all know. I've got a very simple story to tell you. My wife went away to look after my daughter's cat while she went away. And so I was on my own at home. We just bought some plants from the local garden centre, quite big ones. Not this one.
Behind you.
No, it's this one actually. Hold on, let me show you. If I can see it. Where is it? Can you see that?
Oh, yeah, in the corner, getting that nice natural light. What do you think about that position, Joey? Is that accurate?
It's looking very happy at the moment. Anyway, when my wife went away, she left me instructions, said spray it with this baby bio mixture and just give it a little bit of water on the top of the soil, and no, don't overwater it, whatever you do, blah blah blah. Within 2 days, it started drooping and was looking pretty sick, frankly. And I'm panicking. I was thinking, "God, she's gonna kill me." We only just bought this plant like 3 weeks ago. Anyway, she came as soon as she came back. It was fine.
Yeah.
I said, "What the hell have you done to this plant? What did you just say?" I just talked to it.
Yeah.
Because she gets it.
So she grew up on a farm in Northern Ireland, and right from the very start of that, I mean, we've been together 35 years now. She's from the outset, I thought she was crackers, right? So she used to say, I didn't really have many friends because it was a big farm and the farms were quite, like miles apart and everything. And said there were no kind of children my age there to play with. So my friends were trees. And she used to literally go and play with the trees and talk to them.
Yeah.
And all that stuff, and I just went bloody hippie, and the older I get, and hopefully the wiser I get, the more I genuinely believe there's something in this shit.
Yeah.
You are living proof of it, Joey. So
Well, I'm so glad you're conceding on this because a couple of episodes ago, I told you I talked to my trees in the garden. You didn't believe me, and I thought, wait till you speak to Joey. Joey,
I
just a make believe.
I mean, I'm just turning, in my dotage, I'm turning into a hippie. That's all it is.
We got him in the end.
I think it's a
The
noble ambition, I think.
I see what you started being a hippie.
And I just want to ask you something that occurred to me when you were talking about. It's not just about the connection between humans and plants, but that thing that they discovered recently that in forests, some forests, quite a lot of forests around the world, trees use mycological connections underground to communicate with each other, which absolutely blew my mind. Do you know about this?
Do you know, it's funny actually because there's a David Attenborough documentary where they're saying that like mycelium networks and things are connected on trees, and they was talking about a tree, I think it's in Africa, where the giraffes, what will happen is the giraffe will come and start eating the leaves off of one of them, and the trees will tell the rest of them, okay, I'm under attack, and then the other trees will make their leaves taste sour.
What?
So that the giraffe won't eat them, and it won't kill off our trees there. And actually, that episode has done me so many favors because people, I think if I'd have come out with this project, say 5 or 10 years ago, people would have thought I was bonkers. But a lot of people have seen this episode where they're like, oh, actually, I know all the trees communicate. Is that how it works? That because they've seen it on the telly and seen David Attenborough talking about it, people are more like open and understanding that actually trees do communicate. And this,
When J.R. Tolkien was talking about it with the Ents in Lord of the Rings, they single-handedly saved the wall by eating all the orcs. They saved it.
Yeah, well, there's more fantasy, isn't it? But David Attenborough is that people take it as fact, and they're just like, and although that isn't how the technology works, people are like, I am aware that plants are communicating. And actually, I read as well that if the Amazon was wiped out, the shockwave from that would kill every other tree around the world because it's such a big hub and everything is connected.
And you know, Joey, when I spent a lot of time in the jungle around 2015, and you would hear we were living in secondary jungle, so it wasn't deep in, but far enough in to be completely surrounded in the jungle experience, and you could hear chainsaws all day.
Yeah.
Because I think that they could get like 150 soles per tree, and then that would feed the family. So they were desperate to eat. They just cut down trees for food, sell the wood, obviously. And it used to break my heart that, and you could actually feel our area. You could feel the chainsaws getting closer to our retreat.
It's pretty terrible. It's pretty crazy, like the level that things are happening out there. And like what we see online doesn't even scratch the surface. Like where I'm working with, like well, a lot of the time with Nick, you see oil, gold, pharmaceutical, fashion, missionaries, everybody is out there with their own tactics to pull these people out of the forest on a much bigger scale than what's displayed online. And that's kind of why I've set up the Seeds of Sound project now, because it's a way that it's a way for people to keep their identity and earn a little bit of money. Because what happens is you get these each different in like individual industry will do something that affects their way of life. So say it's like contaminating the water. So now the people can't wash or drink in this river. But that also means the animals can't. So now the animal, like the food chain is now moving downriver. So the people have got all their houses and things that they've built. Do they follow it? Or like, do they just give up where they are? Or do they start going hunting really, really far out and start making everything harder? Or do they start trying to make money to meet their basic need and buy water? Which is when another industry will turn up and be like, oh, I'll give you money. You can come and work for us. And a lot of the time, they'll give them quite a lot of money. So a lot of these people will say, okay, I've got $1,000 a month now. I only need to buy $20 worth of water. So I've got however much left. And then you'll see these people, some of them haven't been to a town before. So they go there with money where they've never needed money. They live in an abundance of food, medicine, and material. Now they've got all this excess money where they're like, what do people spend it on? And then overnight, you'll see a community now in Nike tracksuits on phones with TikTok drinking imported beer. And then this alcohol comes in, domestic violence comes in, communities just get destroyed, the culture's gone, identity's gone. And actually, it's all tactics. They're now basically Westerners living in a forest. So this is why I started setting up this Seeds of Sound project, because what it does is it allows people to keep hold of their identity. It allows them to keep making their art, keep making music, keep their culture, and just make enough money off of it to be able to just provide for their basic needs, rather than having to sell everything, sell their souls to the oil man or the gold man or whoever. So yeah, that's currently what I'm working on. We've got a few projects at the minute where we've got some of the artists funded, and one of them is like now making traditional music instruments. So she's making like 30 of like, I think they was pengulios or something. It's like a bamboo string instrument, and then another one is making drums, and they're going to start teaching kids how to play them, how to make them. And we are also we're fundraising at the minute to build the first venue, which is going to be like a sponsored music studio, with like performance space, listening space, and it's like a safe space for them to go create. There's a record label attached to it too, online website if they're making pottery and things. because I just can't, like, the thing is you can't let interfere with all of these industries because it's pretty dangerous, but you can like support them in a way where they can just like maintain their own identity and culture and just not lose it to what's happening out there. Because ultimately as well, the thing is once these people are not indigenous anymore, they're the last ones who hold this knowledge of how to live with the land. We lost it thousands of years ago. These people are still speaking with trees. They're still like working out medicines in plants. They're still like very connected with nature. And once they've gone, once they're westernized, there isn't really very many communities around the world now who can still do that. And I've seen real magic out there, what they're doing. It's like, this is what I'm saying. We don't realize how far disconnected we are because these people are like in communication with trees without even taking things. It's, yeah, it's really like a magical place. Like the connection between nature and humanity is really magical when you hold that magic. And most of us, a lot of people don't even realize we breathe from the trees. Like some of the things people have said to me, like, "Oh, are they alive then? How does this work? Like, it's just, are they not wood?" Like, there's
I
some,
remember my first ever experience of actually feeling a tree for the first time. It was Glastonbury, Stone Circle, sunrise, me and my best friend. For some reason, it was this, you've probably seen it, that massive oak tree right at the bottom of the Stone Circle that's huge. And we were just drawn into it and we went over to it and just hugged it. Never hugged a tree in my life. I hadn't at that point. This was a long time ago. And I could just start instantly, we both felt it, just this electromagnetic energy that started through our fingers, traveled through our whole body. I mean, given I was high as a kite at the time, but I could still feel this tangible connection between this tree. We both felt it. And from that point on, we actually did start hugging trees, like privately, and wouldn't necessarily at that point start telling people. But fast forward, what's that? Almost 15 years, and I've got trees in my garden, and I actually do go, and I have certain trees for certain things. Where if I need to give or I need to receive, each tree actually has a different energy based on what I need. So there's a princess tree in the middle of the garden, and that's where I go to ground. And there's another willow tree for wisdom, and there's another tree that I go to just give my energy that then connects it to that whole network that Martin was talking about. And it doesn't, for me, just feel like a sort of spiritual belief or an activity based out of faith. It genuinely feels to me that there is a real tangible connection. It energizes me, it soothes me, it grounds me. It probably helps with the negative ions that you get from being barefoot as well.
so actually what's quite interesting, well, the second time I went out there, I put a post up online saying, I'm going to work, I'm going to write some music. If anyone's got a question for any elders, what would it be? And I'll try and ask all the questions, record the questions and the answers, and I'm going to weave that into music. And I remember it was my friend Zoe, who, Cherub, she asked, what's the best way to reconnect with nature? And I asked this to like the grandson of the head shaman of the Siakapai. And he said, what you should tell everybody is if they want to reconnect with nature, they need to find their tree. And to do that, you just have to just start opening your eyes to them. And at one point, you're going to see a tree where you just feel different about it. There's something significant about that tree. You don't know what it is. It might be the weirdest looking thing, shortest, tallest, weirdest, strangest. It doesn't really matter what it is. There'll be something about it where you're just like, that's my tree. I'm just so much more drawn to that than any of the others. Once you find that, he said, start visiting it. Just go, even if you just go and sit there with it to start with. You might feel weird about it, but just going to start sitting under it and maybe take a book or go and listen to music under it. Once you feel a bit more like less weird, just maybe start talking to it, telling it like what's happened today, even if it's like in your head. He said, you'll build a connection with that tree, and then at one point, if there is a day where you're struggling with something, or if there's something that you are trying to achieve or want to make happen, take a leaf from that tree and put it on your forehead and pass the weight of your problem, or make a wish and then let it go. And he was like, that's how you'll reconnect with nature, because you'll start realizing that the trees will help you. Once you start building like this bridge, the tree will, like, if you're bonded with a tree, it will take care of you.
Well, I need to interrupt you at that point because there's something very relevant. I did a project based on the Shinto ritual of wishing trees. Do you know about this?
I do actually have a piece of it in my bag. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Where you pay, for those that don't know, you basically write down a wish and you attach it to a particular tree, and it becomes a community activity. So you get lots of wishes attached to the tree. And the theory is, and this is really quite hippie, so I apologize, but I love the fact it's connected to an actual religion. So the idea is that the higher power, the greater being, sees these wishes and they float off into the heavens, right? So I thought, wouldn't it be great to do a sound exhibition? This was in New York, based on the concept of the wishing tree. So in 3D sound, invisibly. So we came up with this idea called virtual wishing tree, which was creating an invisible tree, putting out a call for people to send their wishes to at this time, it wasn't even on the internet. It was like just a number that you rang and left
Wow, old school.
an advert in the local paper in Manhattan. The responses we got were incredible. And the question, the call to action was, the question was, what is your wish? It was that open. And we got responses ranging from the incredibly stupid, like, I wish Paul McCartney would never release another record, to the incredibly profound of, I wish I'd not missed my connection coming into Grand Central Station in 1935 to meet my girlfriend, because I believe we'd have been together forever, or I wish I'd have got a chance to talk to my father before he died, and so all this entire range of human experience, of the banal, the stupid, the playful,
Yeah.
profound, all on these telephone messages. So anyway, we created this thing. And the notion that these ideas float off to heaven after a couple of days. So we built it on these derelict piers that are on the Hudson River. There's like poles coming out of the ground, and we put speakers on these poles at different heights and stuff. And after a couple of days, each of the wishes would play continuously, and then they'd drift upwards and disappear. I thought, what a fucking great idea that was.
That was excellent.
I'd like to restage that, actually. Now,
Please do. I want to make a wish.
yeah, well, who doesn't? But as Joe is as clearly as anybody I've ever heard has said, is like manifestation, right?
Yeah.
The more that you believe something's going to happen, the more likely it is to happen.
Yeah.
And you've made a career out of that so far, which is no joke.
Master manifester. He manifested lockdown. And Glastonbury and Burning Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's incredible. And while we're on the subject, I need to ask you a couple of questions which I've noted down here. One second. Oh yeah, I know. Have you thought about, so you do, let's crack on to data sonification because we haven't got long left. You create these things which are live interpretations in different ways of the data that you gain from the interaction and sometimes just autonomous stuff that's happening within the plants. I've seen it working. People are naturally drawn to it.
Yeah.
When I did that panel with you, it was like I was fucking invisible, right? All they wanted to do, nobody came over to me afterwards and talked to me about my practice. It was all, everybody just wanted to talk to you about your practice. So I was quite jealous at the time, but actually wasn't really. But anyway, what I was thinking was, so you got all this data that's coming out live, or you can record it or whatever. Have you considered the idea of using AI to interpret that visually?
No, but I have collected it all. And I've named what all the different plants are, all the different bits of data that's come out of it. There is some really, really interesting ones, because most of the time it's really random. They're all quite, you can see it's significantly different, but it's still always very random. We got taken to a saber tree, which is like, I don't know if you've seen Avatar.
Yeah.
But so the main tree with all the spirits in it.
The one that they plug the hair into.
Yeah, so a saber tree is what that tree in that film is representing. So this tree is probably, I think they can grow up to like 90 meters tall. Some of them, I can send you some pictures, 20, 25 meters wide. Huge, huge trees. And they say that they contain the spirits of these trees. So they said to me, don't ever touch one of these trees without asking permission for it first. And, but yeah, we went there, we asked permission, we connected my device to this tree. And I'll send you some images of it after. What it displayed was the most organized Sanskrit style text. It was just the most bizarre thing, because it's so organized and structured that it's almost not possible, considering it's like,
Oh, you got to send us this.
yeah, it's just like electrical values all the time, but this is like so organized, and it's just like, it looks like it's trying to say something. We was all looking at it, just like trying to interpret it.
Wow.
But I would love to work with someone scientific on it, because there's a lot of things that the plants do which are just kind of unexplainable to me. Like when it stops. So sometimes it will stop when a person walks in. But why? Like, why is it now? Why am I able to detect nothing in it? It's almost as if it's like I've connected it to plastic.
It's closed down.
Like, why though? Is it asleep? Is it dead? Is it meditating? Are they just
Hiding from that person. Don't like their energy, maybe.
Yeah, but even we can't do that. If I connect it to you, you can't just suddenly say, oh, I'm not going to put out any electric activity. Like, what is that? It's like,
Are you connected with a human being in presence, or is it just a coincidence?
well, I mean, I had a situation where I was working on, like, I had a music studio in Hackney Wick, and my neighbor was like, we'd been saying for ages about collaborating, and I was like, okay, let's do it now. And I walked in, I set all the plants up, got them all singing, and then I got him and was like,
Got them all singing.
I said to him, I was like, I'm ready. And he walked in the room and the plants went off, and I was like, oh, that's strange. They was just working, and I was just like faffing around trying to sort them out. He was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go and get my tobacco. I'll be back in a sec. And he walks out the room. The plants come on. He comes back with a tobacco, walks in the room, and the plants go off. And I was like, man, they was just working. I was like, I think it's you, just as a joke. And he walks out the room, the plants come on. He walks back in and they go off. And we did that so many times. And I was like, it was enough to prove that it was him.
Well, if you're not to take that personally.
Well, so everyone's like, oh, do you think plants are like dogs. Do you think they can sense negativity on people? But he's the most amazing person. Even around him, even my shoulders drop. He's the most calm, amazing human. And I like to think, oh, maybe they're just finding calm in him too. But these are also human associations. These are not humans. These are plants. They're a completely different species. But they are energetic transmitters and receivers. So our moods and emotions do affect them. And there's so many different, like, scientifically backed papers which say plants don't thrive in argumentative households because it's low mood. This is what this tree's saying in my vision. Humanity's energies should right now.
Thriving. Look at that.
Looks great.
Okay.
Happy household over here.
But it is true. Like, they do feel you. And this is all that is happening. This is all I'm finding is working with like plants day in, day out. Although I'm by no means a gardener, no means a biologist or anything, I do have a way to be able to hear a reflection of what's happening inside the plant, displayed as sound and light. So whilst the plants are speaking, as to say, you can hear an audible response to things that change in the surroundings. So whether that's you put another plant next to it, you walk near it, the cat jumps up near it, everything I can see and hear in real time, the plant is responding to changes in the environment, like in its surroundings. So I know full well that these plants are responding to immediate changes near them. And it's not to say that it's just weather, that is moving energy.
I
But-
believe you. I believe you, Joey. Listen, we're getting to the end of this. I've literally got to jump soon because I'm doing the exact opposite of this discussion we're having. I've got to go into town and talk to the Telegraph about hasn't seen.
Tell them about the plants, Martin. They'll love it.
Oh yeah, they'll love that.
Lead with that.
Because you know what a hippie like that is. Okay. It's been fantastic. We could probably talk all day, to be
I
honest.
wish we could.
Yeah. What's the favorite of your own work?
Probably the Human Nature exhibition that's touring at the minute. I also have an album which is coming out, which I'm very, very proud of, which is also called Human Nature. And that's a lot of my friends being the humans, speaking with the plants, and then drum machines. But
Wow.
Human Nature exhibition, it's like an immersive holographic infinity mirror room with spatial audio, which is just putting people into dimensions where humans and nature connect and interact on a multi-dimensional thing. It's currently touring. It's in Ireland at the minute.
Wow. Fantastic. I want to go and see that. When's it?
I'm not too sure yet. I'm not too sure. Hopefully at Christmas. We're waiting for something to confirm.
Oh, brilliant. And final question. What's your best hope for the future? What if your work could make something change for the general population of the earth and plants? How would you? What's the best outcome, and what are you doing that's getting it there? It's a big question, I know, but
People become beacons of love and not angry drivers.
oh,
That is the solution.
you are such a lovable dude.
You're here first, guys. Just be love.
That is literally the
Adorable.
solution. It will just solve absolutely everything right now.
Love is all you need. And
Yeah, it literally is. Yeah.
all right, I've got to go. But listen, fantastic, Joey. Really beautiful. Maybe the world's longest sentence, the first half of the.
Yeah.
But not long enough. I could have done longer. There was more I wanted to know. I was gripped.
But please do send us that any links that you think are relevant. For sure, I'll share them.
Amazing. Will do.
Brilliant. I can't wait to see you again soon.
Me too. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah.
See you later. Bye bye.